Hi there everyone and welcome to Thinking Agile, a place where we take real world problems when trying to implement Agile within the working environment. We will then submit those to our professional Scrum trainers who will then explain what methods they would suggest to use within that scenario. You can submit your questions to agile@adaptdev.co.uk or you can go to our website and use our contact form. We will then try to notify you if your question has been answered.
We've got another interesting topic here regarding what methods can you use to determine the complexity of an item, whether it's sitting in the product backlog or in the sprint backlog. So complexity, you've got to think about that at several different levels. What's the complexity of the environment you're working in, the product's being developed in, and then yes, what's the complexity of each of the items you're actually working on. This we would really suggest you look at as a component within the estimation that you actually deliver on the item. So an awful lot of teams only estimate the effort it will take to deliver an item in a perfect world. So I've worked using the same code on the same platform for the past 40 years. Therefore, to do it, because it's going to be quite half an hour, it equals half or one or whatever you want to rate on that type of thing, preferably in a non-hours format. But that tends to be what a lot, especially new teams that are immature in the way they're working, that's what they tend to take into account of when you talk about estimating the work to be delivered. Really, it should be, when you estimate an item, you should be estimating based on the effort to deliver it, the complexity of the platform, the environment, and the social environment that the item and the product's being delivered in, and the uncertainty regarding that item and delivering it. And this is why it's good actually sometimes in your work, in your kind of continuous improvement and in your retrospectives or out of the office days, to do some exercises that is based on not what people do every day, right? So as you take people a bit outside of the comfort zone and you get them to that level of uncertainty and building complexity. Because it's really only through understanding that if a system has 7 variables, then you only need to change one of those variables for people to fail to understand it in the way they've always done before, right? So if you take a Java developer that's used to working in a Tomcat environment and with an Oracle database with connectivity to it, and all work in a more containerized environment, you're not going to use a WAR file behind Tomcat, you're going to have to build it as a binary, and you're going to use Mongo database, then you'll find that developer, that's just raised the complexity and uncertainty factor for them quite massively. And it's getting the understanding of that. And not all environments are the same. And they have gone quite radically different. You can actually be in something that's very simple. And again, we're still only talking software here. Again, we could be talking, what about if you take a software developer that's used to delivering code that goes into CDs for Microsoft type of thing, operating systems, even if they are doing Linux at the kernel level, and doing some very hard level code, you take that down to doing assembly language to go into a chipset, and that's something completely different for them. So really the methods for understanding complexity is making sure that you understand that within the item, the estimate of the item to be delivered, right? So as when you're actually doing the estimation for it, it's been taken account of. And then if there's something that you think really adds an element of complexity from the product owner's perspective, then that should really be noted on there as risks and limits or other things to be taken account of. Because complexity can be crossing boundaries of power and things like that as well. So if you're working on a product, that not only involves your organization, but involves how a partner organization connects to your systems, then that's raised a level of complexity. And you should note that as part of your notes on the subjects, on the product. Well, I'm saying here, from that point, it should be the product owner who keeps notes of this. It's their product, and they should build that into the discussions, including when it comes to the estimation. So if we're going to deliver this work, yes, we could deliver it in a day in a perfect world, but if it requires going to another organization and getting a hold of some of their stakeholders, then that day is probably unrealistic. And that's the complexity of having a product that crosses two organizations, that causing that time to do the effort. So, and it's not a straightforward, simple, put a field in your Excel spreadsheet and note down the hours of complexity you think it is, but you need to take a systemic view of this, and sometimes you might need to build a rich picture of what is the complexity involved in. And from that, I would say look at systems thinking practices and then take on what I've just said there, rich pictures. Ideal tool for doing this, so as you understand the complexity of the product that's actually being created. Okay, thank you. Bye now.